Hello and welcome to the Design Pattern Create live Q&A on Wednesday evening. I'm super excited that you have joined us here today. We have Victoria with Zero Waste Patterning. We have Sonia with literal, oh my goodness, I can't even say that word today. We have Sonia here again. I'll let her say that word. And then we also have Caroline with sublimation. I'm going to let them all introduce themselves. But I also want to make sure that if you're stopping by to say hi, we'd love for you to say hi and tell us where you're watching from, because we have a wide berth of people all around the world, and we'd love to know where you're watching from. I also want to let you guys know that we are streaming on StreamYard. So if you want to make sure you give StreamYard permission to show us your name, you can still ask questions. We'll still see the questions, but if you don't give StreamYard the permission, then we won't be able to see who it is that is asking that question. But hello, I'm Christina, and I help sewing enthusiasts learn how to digitally pattern draft sewing patterns so that they can create their own pieces of amazing wearable art. Victoria, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Victoria. I'm a dressmaker, designer, and teacher. About 3 years ago, I started specializing in creating zero waste patterns, and that's what I've been doing pretty much since then. When I first joined the movement, I did see that zero waste was mostly like a baggy and square clothes, that I wanted to change that. I wanted to create something more stylish and elegant. And yeah, that's what I've been doing. I'm working on a 10 zero waste dresses challenge, and I'm a number 9 at the moment.
Yeah, I'll be excited to see all your zero waste patterns, and especially the next one that comes out as well. Sonia, do you want to go next?
Hi, I'm Sonia. I'm from Little Love Patterns, and I started with the Little Love Patterns long time ago. And because it's so easy, that's all I've been doing. It's really the pattern making system for dummies. And I love sewing, so all these new stuff that we're seeing, I'm enjoying very much, and can't wait to try it all out.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely a system that I didn't know a lot about before I met you. So it's fascinating to me. So, and Caroline, oh, I got you right as you were sipping water. Are you ready to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Hi, I'm Caroline, and I started sublimation about 4 years ago with absolutely zero knowledge of what I was getting into. I did almost no research before ordering my first sublimation printer. So in the last 4 years, I went from 0 to 100. I specialize in creating custom sublimation transfers for other small businesses to try out, so that they don't have to purchase all the stuff that I purchased in order to get started.
Awesome. Well, while we're waiting for some questions to come in, one question I have for all of you is, how do you keep the creative inspiration and motivation in your perspective areas? Caroline, you want to start us off?
Sure. I have zero shame in saying that I spend an incredible amount of time on Pinterest and Etsy. So the internet is definitely a source of inspiration. I also enjoy just getting out in nature and kind of drawing inspiration from there. We run a small farm, so there's like always something, either funny or inspiring going on that I can kind of draw inspiration from.
Yeah, I love when the pictures come up of you and your chickens and you cuddle with your chickens. Sonia. Yeah. Sonia, you want to tackle that question?
Well, the internet and Pinterest is probably my biggest inspiration. I love going on there. And then I've got all these grandkids, and they're drawing all their drawings, and Oma has to make everything, which is quite interesting, and I love doing that. They're at the stage that they start sewing themselves now, and they get quite confused that how long it takes to make something. Can't you just do it quickly? No, you have to do it yourself. So a lot of inspiration comes from them, because they love drawing stuff, and I love being around them and doing stuff with them. So yes, I love that.
Yeah, kids have some wild imaginations. But sometimes with the world of Amazon, if it's not here in 2 days or done in 2 days, they can be impatient about it. So, what about you, Victoria?
I think a lot of my inspiration comes from my friends. I have many creative friends who are also graphic designers, jewelers, and all sort of stuff, knitters, yarn weavers. And since I got into zero waste, I have a long list of ideas from friends. Like, have you tried this to do zero waste? Do you want to try this to do zero waste? And I'm like, okay, I'll put on my list. So I think I have ideas for probably the next 20 dresses already.
The list that never ends. Yeah, the list always seems to grow and never shrink. And that's always one of those that you see things. I find, again, Pinterest, Etsy, and nature. I love getting out in nature and everything. But the list always grows and grows and grows and grows. And it always takes so much time to create each amazing product that sometimes you run out of. You have to pick and choose those projects, I guess. So the question I asked everybody yesterday was, is there a book you would recommend, whether it be within your niche or whether it would be just a book that you're reading recently or one that has really like hit home, that's a fun read or anything? What book would you recommend? Sonia, you want to start us off with this one?
Oh, I can't think of the book's name right yet. The brain went blank. But yeah, I love books. I go to the library and my children look at me and they say, do you always have to take out a sewing book? I said, yes, I do. I love sewing. At the moment, I'm busy with Tunisian crochet. I'm not a knitter at all, but I love crochet. So I got onto a book of Tunisian crochet and I just love it. I can't get enough of it. It's just something new. It's something fun to do. It's so different for me and I really enjoy it. So at the moment that's what I'm doing. But I just listened to I don't know who the girl was that did the journal, and I was fascinated. I thought, oh well, this would be so great. I've got so much fabric and so much everything that I can use. I have to do this with my grandkids. So that's definitely my next thing that I think I will do with the grandkids.
Yeah, that was when I found her, I was so excited because I was like, I have so many scraps that sometimes I feel really guilty throwing away because it's like either it's really beautiful fabric or you got it at a really fun place or there's so many options. And it was just like, this is such a cool concept to be able to create a little journal thing with this fabric. So I'm glad you also really loved that. Victoria.
I think I love books too much. I have 2 shelves already full of books. And I did share a few books during the interview. I can just go through them again. But on top of those 3, I've also decided to order another zero waste book, which is in German, which I probably would have to revive my German knowledge. It's basically another set of projects from a zero waste designer. Very excited because to see what other people come up with is really inspirational and exciting. Do you want me to share again the books that I've shared?
Sure. Interview? Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is probably the first book to start if you want to go into zero waste. And I think this is what I've started with, and it's completely opened up my mind. It's probably the pioneers of the modern sort of zero waste style, because through time, probably you know that zero waste was greatly utilized through history, like in kimonos or the gusset trousers, the gusset shirts, just simply because of lack of fabric and because fabric was so precious. But these people, Tim Morrison and Holly McMillan, they basically reinvented the zero waste into a modern way, and they basically show you how many things you can create if you use your imagination. And then I've got another two books. They are not. This is the first book is more like a theory, and they go through the ideas behind it and the mindset. And these books, they are projects, zero waste projects. This is from Liz Haywood. She's an awesome zero waste designer, and she's very, very active on Instagram as well. She has quite a huge number of patterns on her Etsy shop, and she's famous for doing size inclusive. She does up to size, I think, 158 busts in centimeters, but like up to really, really big sizes. And she says, if I can't grade it up to a bigger size, I wouldn't grade it at all, which is amazing to me. And that's another zero waste patterns book. This is great because this gives you, you know how in sewing you have basic blocks from which you later on create different designs. So that one gives you the basic blocks for zero waste option, like basic block for the trousers, basic block for like a top or a dress, and then you can modify it to create something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are all great books to start with, I think.
Few of them are on my wish list for my next present time. So
I'm also writing a book, but it's probably going to be at least another few years until it comes out.
well, definitely let me know when that comes out. I'd be very interested in getting it as well. And Caroline, you want to talk about a book?
So I haven't had a ton of time to do reading over the last year or so. So there aren't any pressing books, and I don't think there are any books in the sublimation niche. So I'll share a couple books that are on my want to read list. The first is Atomic Habits, and the second, and this is probably the first on my list, is Building a Story Brand. I don't know if you've heard of that one, but it's about making your message clear to your customers by Donald Miller. So those are on my to get list.
Yeah, I've read the Story Brand. I really like him. So
Okay, cool.
I really enjoy his book. He has another one too, I think. Yeah, so he definitely has another one. And it looks like we have a question from Melody in our chat. I have a question for Victoria. I love your zero waste patterns very much, especially the Greta dress is amazing. Since you mentioned several times of kimono, I'm curious how the Asian traditional sewing, such as a kimono or kwaipo, inspire you. I don't know that how to pronounce that word properly. I'm very sorry.
Well, I'm not sure if you looked online on all of my dresses, but I really like the sort of flowy dress types that go long up to the floor and, you know, have really elegant design. So which I would consider kimonos quite elegant as well. So I like that style of, you know, a female being in an elegant, beautiful dress. And Greta is actually a very unusual dress for me. It's not something I would wear, but that was a suggestion from a friend who really wanted to dress like that. And she said, could you create that zero waste? And I was like, I can try, I guess. So that's how that dress was born. It took me quite a while to figure out how to come up with a design so it doesn't waste fabric. Yeah, and it was quite successful. And I think that's the first dress that goes up to size 32 in grading. So like it goes up to really big sizes.
Awesome. Did you have a follow-up with that, Melody, at all? Doesn't look like it. Yeah, thank you. It's great to know.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we also have Carly on Facebook. She says, I'm not the best at zero waste, but I did recently learn how to salvage strips from fabric to make appliques for fun designs. We'll actually be hearing from Carly on Friday. So she has some fun embroidery.
Yeah, you can definitely utilize salvage in many different ways. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, when we were talking over our interview, just seeing and actually being able to visualize how the zero waste kind of fits into each other. Now that I'm patterning again in my day job, it's so interesting that I'm now looking at all this stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a lot of waste that we're doing that. But I mean, that's what it is right now at my day job. But it's really fun and interesting to think about now.
Yeah, a lot of people see zero waste as a jigsaw puzzle, where like a jigsaw, you have to fit all the pieces together. There are some designers who try to create not dresses, different outfits that are not traditional looking, but they incorporate all these wavy lines and create unusual silhouettes just by sort of following the jigsaw puzzle sort of idea.
Yeah.
I think it was as an example, I think it just came to my mind. I think there's a design company that called Decode, and they have the design for this wavy trousers where you have pants, but they have two different fabrics incorporated, and there's wavy lines going all the way through your legs, and yeah, very interesting.
I'll have to look that up. So, Sonia, when you are designing a pattern and using the lettero, oh my goodness, I can't say that word today. Lettero.
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't say that word today. But like, how do you help like finalize a design? Because I know you sometimes say you take a piece from here and a piece from there. What's that process like?
That's what I like when Victoria said she thinks of the patterns as puzzle pieces, but she does zero waste, which I think is fantastic. I have also the puzzle pieces to get the creation I want. So I usually have a picture in a drawing or something that I imagine this is what I want, and then I go to a sleeve that's almost to that sleeve, nearly, or neckline that's going to that side, and then it's just sometimes lengthening, widening, shortening, something to change it. And most of the times you just change the neckline and you get a complete different look with especially your collars and your sleeves and pockets and all the nice things that you do with puzzle pieces. So I think of my little system as a book of puzzle pieces that I just put together.
Do you have a favorite type of sleeve? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Please.
When you do your let's say you want to create this sort of design, do you start with something maybe like a basic block, like with your system, and then change it to create the design, or can you like straight away start designing whatever you need, like start patterning whatever you want to design? If you know what I mean.
I think in the system, all your basic blocks is there. But if you start and you've never done pattern making, you really know what the basic block looks like. And so I always say, if you go to the front of the patterns, I can show this. Can you see?
Yeah, I can see.
So if you look at the back of the patterns, that's all your basic little blocks or puzzle pieces, and you look for the one closest to the picture that you want. So after a while, that's a fitted sleeve, that's a drop sleeve, that's a dolman sleeve, that's a puffed sleeve. Because when people start sewing, they don't know this. They just think a sleeve is a sleeve, and they don't see a sleeve like we see it in pattern pieces. Like when you showed your pattern and how you put it out, I was so amazed about how your two sleeves fitted into each other. And I mean, that was just, wow, I must try and put my sleeves together like that. Maybe I can save more fabric like doing it that way. I never thought of doing it something like that. And but people that haven't sewn yet don't know what a sleeve actually looks like, what the curve looks like. And so this is a very easy way of teaching them how pattern pieces look like. And if they start drafting it, after a while, it just becomes natural. Okay, you can use this piece and that piece will fit in there. And this piece will fit in there. They get the puzzle combinations, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it's a little bit different way of thinking for me.
Yeah.
I think sometimes having the education in traditional pattern making, it's kind of good and bad in a way, because once you've done the traditional, you always come back to it and evaluate and judge yourself. If I do, like, if I step aside, would it still be good? Is it like, the traditional pattern maker would say, oh no, you could never do that, and this sort of things. So on one hand, it's good not to know anything about it and just go ahead and create.
Yeah, that's what I find. I really find that a lot of people love sewing, but they're very scared of pattern making, and the traditional pattern making is difficult. I mean, it's not everybody that can do traditional pattern making, but this just makes it so easy for them to, actually I can do this, so it's just a different way to incorporate everybody that sews, and they can actually make their own patterns as well.
I think it's true for a lot of people that are scared of pattern making at first. And there's so many different avenues that you can go down to learn it, and so many different techniques to learn that it's always good to learn more. But I do feel like what you said of sometimes if you learn one way and then you start to learn another, your original teacher might be a little like, what are you doing? You already you already know the perfect way, my way. And it's like, oh, but there's other ways.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that don't want to share. So this is so good about the summit, because everybody is sharing their way, and it's opening new alleys in your mind. Actually, I can do this. I can still use this, but I can do this. Like, I wasn't into zero waste, but I was always aware of not wasting my fabric, because I want to use all of it. But I never thought of zero waste. And when I saw her doing her sleeves, I thought, oh, well, that's a different way. I must go and try it. And then, so I'm into you, Victoria. Sorry, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions when I get to it.
We did have a question come in on Facebook that says, do I need a special type of printer or ink for sublimation, or can I use, is there a way I can use the printer I already have?
So printers are made specifically for sublimation, and you can't just use, you can't take your desktop at home and use that. You can use an Epson EcoTank. That would be the only desktop printer that isn't considered sublimation, really, that you can use. And you fill it with sublimation ink and sublimation paper. But that immediately voids the warranty. So it's kind of a trade-off. That I personally use an Epson EcoTank right now, and I have sublimation paper and ink in it. But once you use it for sublimation, you can't go back and use it for a desktop printer. I hope that helps. Yeah.
And then,
by the way, I am still scared of sewing, much less patterning. So I might have to go back and watch some of that.
But you created, I still have a little bit of your bug fabric right here that we did, that it was so, the hat came out so cute. I still need to mail that back to you. Huh?
I said you did a great job.
Yeah.
Tell my husband to send this to Christina so she can do some magic.
It's fun to do collaborations of creating fabrics, and I have a few other ideas that I might be bugging you for and being like, hey, I want to create this fabric so that I can create this other fun design. So
sounds good.
We shall.
I look forward to working with you.
Yes, collaborations are fun. Speaking about sublimation, are there any other major challenges you want to talk about that you find beginners kind of come up against, and some tips you might have for them?
The number one thing I hear is that my sublimation printer is still in the box. I kid you not. Most people get it and they are just so overwhelmed with information to start that they leave it in the box. And so my first tip is just to take it out and try, and that making mistakes is the way to learn. I got hung up on so many things that weren't even important, but I learned through actually doing the work and messing it up sometimes, and then that was okay because I learned how to do it next time. And now all of the mistakes that I made I can now point out like, oh, that's what that person did wrong. And so I'm using all of those mistakes daily now. And so they were all actually a blessing, even though I didn't feel like it at the time.
Yeah. Failing forward is definitely a way, even in pattern making. I try to say you can't be afraid to make mistakes because that's the best way to learn. If you don't know if a sleeve's going to look the way you want, make it in a half scale or just make it and see what it looks like. Because if you're trying to do something crazy, you might not know how to actually accomplish it the first time, and that's okay.
Exactly.
Let's see here. So I have another question for all of you. If you guys want to talk about a memorable project that you created recently. I mean, I guess I could start on this one. So last year we did Peter Pan and Wendy at my day job, and I got to make a beautiful dress for Mrs. Darling that had over 100 pattern pieces to cut out and sew together in different ways. So she took a long time to build, but I'm also very happy with how she turned out. Sonia, do you want to talk about a particular project?
I was thinking when she thought she learned more in mistakes, and that gives a lot of answers. This was long ago. This was not recently, but that just came up, and I thought I should share it. I was making a dress for a lady for a ball, and it was just gorgeous. And she went and she said, "No, I have to go and get my shoes to fit it." And I said, "Okay, I'll just do the final press, and you come back." And when she went, I did the final press, and I don't know what I did, but the whole iron, I smashed up the whole fabric. The whole of the whole iron was in the fabric, and there was no time to recover because that was 2 nights further the ball was on, so I couldn't fix it. She had a very big back operation, so she didn't want any opening on her backs, and that's where it happened. So I always think if you learn about mistakes, you always test your iron. You just don't put the iron on the fabric.
What about you, Victoria?
I had here my mom for a visit this year, and she liked one of my dresses, and she wanted me to create that. That was the Dakota dress, the dress that has like sort of a shirt type sleeves and the buttons and everything. So I had this beautiful piece of fabric that I already had, and she liked the color. It was bright pink, but it was for different widths, and that was quite a challenge for me to come up, because people think for zero waist pattern to work, you have a fabric of a specific measurement, and the pattern fits into this rectangle. And a lot of people think it's rigid and you can't change it. But I know a lot of home enthusiasts who actually, you can cut up the pattern, reshuffle the puzzles, and sort of try to fit into another piece of fabric. So that's what I had to do. I cut up the pattern into pieces and tried to fit it into a narrower fabric, and actually I still managed to keep it zero waist by then, just making it a bit longer but narrower. That was quite a challenge, and I even did a video on it on my YouTube if you're interested to find it. It was, I think, Dakota zero waist dress troubleshooting or something like that. So that was quite interesting. But my mom wore the dress a few times after that, and everyone commented how beautiful it is, and she looks gorgeous in this bright pink dress. So that was worth it, I think.
Do you have any issues when you have like directional specific fabric, or do you try really hard not to use directional specific fabric when doing zero waist, because you do sometimes have to?
When I release the pattern, to make it easier for people, I do give directions what fabric piece you have to have, like measurements, widths and lengths. But when I do it myself, I do challenge myself quite a lot. So I do try to use narrow fabric or different types of fabric just to see if it works.
Cool. And Caroline, do you have a project that you are that's specifically memorable?
So my answer is a little different. So mine isn't really so much about like the product that I created, but more of the people and the customers that I met along the way. Most memorable to me off the top of my head was a ring the bell file that I made for somebody who just beat cancer. And I'm trying to think of her name, but off the top of my head I can't. But it was exciting to be made a part of that journey because now she's in remission and she's cancer free, and I got to be a part of like the process to make that shirt for her to wear for a memory that will last forever for her. Another one was a customer who was giving a gift, and I happened to be like going on vacation, and so I was able to actually like go to her door. She was like 3 or 4 hours away from here, and like hand her what she needed in the time frame and actually meet the customer, which a lot of our customers I don't actually ever get to meet them in person, so that was really cool. I just I enjoyed being a part of their lives in a memorable way.
Yeah. And we did have another sublimation question come in of, are there any legal considerations when creating and selling sublimation craft items such as copyright or trademark issues?
Yes, absolutely. You'll see on Etsy and similar platforms that a lot of people sell trademarked, copyrighted items, but you can get in a lot of trouble for that. And I recommend staying away from it. We try very hard to check the trademark database and be sure that every file that we create, that it follows the applicable laws. So a lot of people get away with it right up until they don't. We don't recommend using trademark or copyrighted items.
Do you ever... Sorry, go ahead, Victoria.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
With the sublimation, what is the maximum sort of size you can go? Like, what are the home printers? Is it like A4 mainly? And then, let's say if you have larger design, would you sort of combine them of several A4 pieces? How do you go around that?
So if I were to do that, I would have to. But we used to have a printer that. So I'm not familiar with the conversion in Australia, but here it was 24 inches wide. So
okay.
But okay,
yeah, that's quite big. Yeah.
And then like as long as you wanted. However, you have to have a heat press that can accommodate that, and they do sell very large heat presses where you could press an entire big huge sheet like that at one time. They just cost more.
Oh yeah, it's probably quite expensive as well.
Yeah. So we used to have the 24-inch printer, and we lost it in a house fire, which is why we don't have it anymore. But I think it was I want to say like 2000, and again, the conversion rate there was at least twice, 3 times as much as one of the smaller printers.
Yeah. But generally, like for a home person, like who wants just to do some at home, it comes in A4 size, right?
A4. Let me.
That's about letter size. It's a little bit. It's a little bit bigger than our letter size.
They have different sizes. That's like 8.5 by 11-ish. Mine was 13 by 19, which is going to be closer to. I'm looking. I would say A2, A3. Is that bigger? That's bigger, right?
13.
Sorry, y'all.
I don't know the conversions either.
I'm looking.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm converted.
Yeah, so 13 by 19 is what my printer prints, and it's a reasonable price to get that.
Yeah, it's quite big actually. Yeah, I'm just converted it for myself.
It's like an A3.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah. It's definitely another area for me to look into. I haven't thought about it before, to be honest.
I think it would be convenient to be able to make it right then and there rather than having to outsource the fabric. But I don't sew, so I don't know how much you could save financially in order to do it in-house. I think if you got a large press and a large printer, you could stand to save a good bit of money over a long period of time.
Yeah, if you do it all the time, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's always fun. Do you ever draw your own repeating patterns, Caroline, to print out?
So we just started getting into seamless. I actually partnered with another person, business-wise. Her name's Elizabeth, and we're now doing seamless designs, which is, so I'm learning to make them myself. I can do, and you asked me, did I hand draw them? Is that what you asked?
Or just create them yourself, not hand, like even if it's on Illustrator or something.
A minute ago, I was starting before I was waiting on a mermaid tail. So I do hand draw some items. And otherwise, I used just digital art that is made for digitally reselling, which is important if you want to be able to use it into your digital art. That kind of goes along with the trademark copyright. Not all digital art is just, free to use in your digital designs.
Yeah, we have another Facebook one of the are there any tips or techniques for troubleshooting common issues sublimating craft, such as image transfer problems or fading colors? And what is the hardest material to work with?
Well, the hardest material to work with would be dark, because you can't sublimate. You have to use some other method along with sublimation onto dark fabric, and also cotton. Everybody wants to sublimate on black cotton. That's not an option. So you want to be sublimating on 100%, at least 65% polyester or above, and lightly colored. There are ways to work around that. And there are definitely, I actually have a whole blog post about troubleshooting common issues, but you're welcome to email me anytime, and I'm happy to work with you on fading or lack of transfer. So we can put my email address in the comments. I'm not sure if I can do that from my phone.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay, Facebook.
I can go back and put it in the comments.
Definitely sign up for her free sublimation guide, getting started, because I'm sure you can get that there. And we have Melody.
Oops, sorry. We also have a color chart on there too, so you can see what percentage of polyester and what color the shirt is, and approximately how it's going to show up on your shirt.
Awesome. And we have a question in our Zoom comments. Caroline, how do you think about the fabric seller such as Spoonflower?
Oh, I love Spoonflower. They have absolutely amazing designs. But I've worked and used it myself.
Are they actually sublimating, or they're printing?
They're printing. Yeah, they're not. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm almost sure they're printing.
Yeah, I think they have a slightly different
process. But you can make equally gorgeous items, fabrics by sublimating them as well. Yeah, I'm looking to see, but I'm pretty sure that they have like a commercial system going on there.
Yeah, I've also used them as well, and they're a fun fabric company to use, but they are currently moving warehouses. I only know this because we tried to get fabric from them, and it didn't show up for 4 weeks, and it still hasn't shown up, so we've canceled the order.
It says they use a digital printing technology. So.
Awesome.
It does say ink and dye, so it could be. Who knows? They're not going to tell us how they do it.
Trade secrets.
Yep.
Well, are there any other questions that want to come in before we wrap it up?
You're welcome, Melody. Thanks for the question.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us this evening. I hope you guys got a lot of questions answered. If you have more questions, don't hesitate to drop them in the comments. We'll be watching for them and trying to get them answered as they come in. Make sure to go get their free gifts so that you can get some zero waste pattern and test it out for yourself, and maybe start sublimating. So, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow at noon Central Time for the next live Q&A on Thursday. I hope you have a wonderful evening or day, depending on where you are in the world. Have a great one.